Hinterconti. Sound. Hinterconti Radio. Heizpilze zum Danebenstellen. Herzlich willkommen. Hello everybody. My name is Stefan Mildenberger and I am your host for tonight's Hinterconti Radio. First up, we are going to listen to a sound piece by the duo Homollectual, consisting of Jessaray and Maya, with the title Break Free, recorded in 2021.
Flashback. We're going back in time. You're now 13 years old. What does gender mean to you? Flashback.
Maybe as a 13-year-old, I experienced gender more like a thing of either or, but to me it was more a neither nor, because I knew I was different and I felt in between. And I guess in the end I felt a lot of confusion, but also, unfortunately, guilt and shame.
My understanding of gender as a 13-year-old, I believe, was limited to feeling different, feeling unlike other boys my age group or other men that I had in my life or that I had contact with in my life, and that I had the awareness that I had more dynamic, I had more expression and more curiosity than what at the time felt safe to express openly.
Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Fast forward, fast forward, rewind, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward, and rewind. Now you're 15 years old. What is sexuality to you?
I believe I could sum up my sexuality at that age with a couple keywords. One definitely being secret, two being ashamed, and the third being self-sustaining. So my sexuality was not socially accepted, and that scared me. And that made me feel ashamed. And because of that, I was unable to explore with other people. So it was all very much about self-exploration and self-pleasuring at the time.
When I first started experiencing my sexuality, it very much added up to the confusion I already felt about my gender. Because back in the day as a boy, I was attracted to and aroused by everything that had to do with femininity.
Bam. You're all growing up. It's right here, right now. Things are getting hot and heavy, or things are feeling chill as fuck. Sexuality, what's up?
Well, quite frankly, my sexuality nowadays is way more different than it was when I was at a young age. I think my journey until my coming out and now my journey of transitioning very much helped me in realizing that for me, sexuality is foremost deeply felt intimacy with people that touch me in the heart and in my soul. And it's not so much any more about physical attraction.
I believe my journey with sexuality and the many hurdles that I've had to overcome and the adversity to owning, respecting, and honoring and expressing my sexuality in happy, healthy ways has led me to the point where I do not wish to disconnect love from sexuality. I do not wish to objectify myself and other people in my sexuality. And I choose to honor that my sexuality is as deep as my bones and part of my DNA, and that to express pleasure and happiness and excitement and exchanging of energy with other men and other people in some outer ring of a sexual expression, that is a great joy for me in life, and I choose to explore, engage, and embrace it deeper, one could say, every day. What are you?
I'm free. I'm free.
What are you?
I'm free. I'm free.
What are you?
I'm free. I'm free.
What are you?
I'm free.
Now for me in this present moment, gender, which at some point in the past was a tool of oppression and labeling and confinement, I have the understanding that for me, gender is related to my imagination, to my creativity, and that I have no limitations to my imagination and to my creativity, and that my expression of gender does not need to be dictated, defined, or held back by what society or other individuals tell me it should be or think it should be. So for me, my gender is the estuary of creativity, where the ocean of limitlessness meets with the river of infinity. Wow. Infinity. Wow.
After all these years of confusion, pain and suffering, and questioning my gender and trying to be someone else, I gladly and happily can say that I finally know myself and I know my place in this universe. And I'm an incarnation of the divine feminine, if that's what people need to hear about my gender. What's more to say?
Wow. Infinity. Guilt and shame, but who's to blame? Some kind of fucked up game. Guilt and shame, but who's to blame? Some kind of a fucked up game. Shame, silly humans accessing mundane energy.
Up next, I am very happy to announce a piece by Charlotte Arnhold, titled Cherries, which was made in the year 2020.
Wow, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. Standing out of lonely street, I break the town. I get so lonely, baby. I get so lonely. I get so lonely, I could die. Although it's always right, you still can find some room. There's broken heart lovers right away there in the tomb. I get so lonely, baby. I get so lonely. I get so lonely, I could die. The bells keep blowing, and the desk clerks trapped in black. They've been so long on a lonely street, they're never coming back. I get so lonely, baby. I get so lonely. I get so lonely, I could die. Well, if your baby leaves you, and you've had a tale to tell, just take a walk down lonely street to Heartbreak Hotel. I get so lonesome, baby. I get so lonesome. I get so lonesome, I could die. Though it's always crowded, you still can find some room for the broken hearts of lovers right there in their gloom. I get so lonely, baby. I get so lonely. I get so lonely, I could die.
I love awkwardness. It is a chance, isn't it? It's like a new door that suddenly appears, and you don't know exactly how to open it. This insecurity frightens most people, but I actually love to solve the riddle of opening the awkward door. I recently started actively seeking out awkward moments. Sometimes I even create them on purpose. That puts me in a position of power somehow, but then again, since there's always another person involved, whose reactions are unpredictable, it is definitely still awkward for me as well. It's also quite a tough social exam. When you've passed it lots of times, you become the master of awkwardness.
It's like a secret. Once you discovered it, you can never unsee or unknow it. Also, other people will sense that you know it. You can just give them a subtle signal, and they will know. Actually, you can't even explain what signal that is. It's almost telepathic, but I don't really believe in telepathy. It's more like a chemistry thing, some molecules flowing between you or whatever. Or maybe some energy exchange without sounding too esoteric here. It's just simply like that. You know it. They know you know it. Also, you know when someone doesn't know. It's very addictive to check out who knows and who doesn't. It can be incredibly exciting to be in a room full of people who don't know, and then you detect this one person that knows. These things can make your whole day the best day ever.
My name should be trouble. My name should be woe, for trouble and heartache. So that I know, yeah, lonely blue girl is my name. Life has been empty, my heart has been torn. It must have been raining the night I was born. Yes, lonely blue girl is my name. Well, I'm so afraid of tomorrow, and so tired of today. Well, they say that love is the answer. Well, but love never came my way. I'm writing this letter to someone unknown. So if you should find it, and if you're alone, well, lonely blue girl is my name. Remember, lonely blue girl is my name.
Sometimes I deliberately don't move when someone pushes past me, and sometimes the guy notices that, and is either flinching awkwardly or pleasantly surprised. When he is pleasantly surprised, he mostly tries to involve me in some kind of gaze battle. He looks at me, questioning my sanity at first, and when he is convinced I am an alright person, I see his face relax, and then this expectant smile slowly appears on it, challenging me to talk to him, interact with him even more. But I never do, and sometimes the disappointment is almost tangible. And I do start gaze battles myself. I like to stare, and it's very rarely that a guy really stares back. Sometimes I can't hold the gaze of a man who actually stares back. I feel my stomach weaken, and then I cowardly turn away. Then I'm mad at myself for the next hours. I do other things as well. For example, at the supermarket, I get some stuff I need and go to the checkout. I choose my cashier wisely. I choose the youngest guy if there is one. I make eye contact. He then asks me if I need any bags, and I proceed to look deeply into his eyes and say, "Yes, please. But can you give me a proper one?" And I smile slightly. But it's really just a hint of a smile. This is very subtle, but it works.
I fancy everyone. I really just don't care. I can find something attractive in everyone. It just struck me recently after I heard someone saying, I can't help it, but I just don't fancy him. That I actually couldn't really ever say that. It would always be a lie. I'm attracted to everyone. When you really look at people, you can always find something that is fascinating. Some people might seem very boring at first glance, but when you take their dullness and turn it into innocence, they immediately can be attractive. Someone's ugliness doesn't really scare me away at all. It is subjective anyway. Yes, this can be very exhausting. After all, it seems like people are interchangeable for me. But that's not really the case. I still do like some people more than others. I just don't ever not like someone at all.
I like to use the word proper. It makes everything sound very decent. It's a word I particularly use to cause a certain atmosphere. Can you help me with my coat? Yes, no problem, I can do that. I'm sure you can, but can you do it properly? Would you buy me a drink? Sure, I can do that. Yeah, thanks, but can you do it properly? Do you like to eat ice cream? Yes, sure, but do you eat it properly? Can you give me directions? I can. Okay, but can you do it properly? Could you lift me up in the air with your bare hands? Yeah, I think I can do that. I think so too, but can you do it properly?
There's a place where lovers go to cry their troubles away, and they call it Lonesome Town, where the broken hearts stay. You can buy a dream or two to last you all through the years, and the only price you pay is a heart full of tears. Going down to Lonesome Town, where the broken hearts stay. Going down to Lonesome Town to cry my troubles away. In this place of broken dreams, the streets are filled with regret. Maybe down in Lonesome Town, I can learn to forget. Maybe down in Lonesome Town, I can learn to forget. Lonesome Town.
following piece is made by Banany in 2021 and has the title Nie wiem, in English, I don't know.
Dzień dobry, dzień dobry. A mówiąc o seksie po polsku jest bardzo trudne dla mnie. Jeżeli chodzi o seks, to nie wiedziałbym, jak to naprawdę wszystko określić, co chciałbym określić po polsku. Używając języka polskiego, nie mam takiej po prostu styczności ze słownictwem, które należałoby się używać, aby móc poprawnie określić sprawę, a też wykazać po prostu to, co chciałbym powiedzieć też. Mówiąc po polsku, jestem nie bardzo pewny siebie, po prostu też nie bardzo już używam języka polskiego na co dzień, więc jest to trochę trudniejsze. And I can speak about things more freely when I speak English, because this is how I developed an understanding for things when it comes to sex and when it comes to gender and when it comes to all these topics that I would like to express. I think English gives me most vocabulary and gives me most context that I heard things in, and I've seen people talk about it in the media. So it makes it very, very much more comfortable to talk about it. Et, alors que pour en parler en autre langue, comme le français par exemple, je me suis rendu compte que j'ai eu beaucoup d'expériences au niveau sexe avec des personnes françaises, et puis ça m'a donné un peu de vocabulaire qui m'a permis de communiquer sur toutes les choses personnelles entre moi et mon partenaire. Et du coup, même les disputes qu'on avait, puis bien sûr aussi parler de ce qu'on veut au niveau cul, et toutes les choses qui se passent au lit, donc, et même pas vraiment au lit, parce qu'avec les Français, on a fait l'amour partout. C'est un peu ça. Bon, c'est un stéréotype avec les Français, mais bon, c'était un peu ça. Und es verhält sich halt ein bisschen anders mit jeweils den anderen Bereichen, wie zum Beispiel der deutschen Sprache. Die deutsche Sprache verunsichert mich, weil das Land selber, also das Kommen nach Deutschland, die gleiche Zeit war, als ich quasi meine Sexualität entdeckte. Und das war schwierig für mich, weil das zugleich auch bedeutete, dass ich schon entdeckt habe, dass ich queer bin. Und das hat ein komisches Verhältnis hergestellt zu der Ausdrucksweise und auch der mangelnden Auseinandersetzung mit Queerness im deutschen Kulturraum, der nach wie vor besteht und für mich das ein bisschen schwierig macht, über diese Thematik zu sprechen. So it's come down to me being most comfortable talking about those things in English. Je peux en parler en français aussi. Et puis je pense que la distance qu'on a, la distance culturelle qu'on a, nous permet en fait d'en parler un peu plus à l'aise. Nous met à l'aise en fait à en parler. Puis wychodząc po prostu z tego, że nie miałem styczności z seksem w ogóle jako dziecko na tym poziomie i oczywiście było takie straszne tabu w tym języku, w samym języku może nie, ale po prostu w tej naszej kulturze polskiej, że po prostu nie było tak w ogóle na to miejsca, żeby w ogóle o tym porozmawiać. Chyba że mężczyźni o tym rozmawiali, ale kobiety, nie słyszałem, żeby kobiety o seksie rozmawiały na przykład. I to jest właśnie to. Widząc po prostu też w rodzinie, czy też gdzie indziej po prostu w telewizji, seks po prostu nie grał takiej specyficznej roli, która by mi po prostu też dała takie słownictwo, ale no nie wiem. Jest po prostu kurwa. Ja, okay. Alles klar. Gut, alles klar, jetzt habe ich es gesagt. Puis, enfin bon. Voilà. Ouais, merde. Puis putain, c'est difficile des fois d'en parler, quoi. C'est difficile des fois. And so it comes down to this intellectual kind of level where I can feel safe talk about things without talking about it for myself and about myself because it pisses me off. It just pisses me off. And I can't liberate myself from this mental lockdown of being able to talk about what I want sexually and how I want to be, and the liberation of it is so und auf Deutsch kann ich das nicht sagen. Alles, das ist seltsam. Ich bin nicht in der Lage. I po prostu nie wiem co powiedzieć, nie wiem po prostu co powiedzieć, nie wiem co powiedzieć. Yeah. No, it's not. It's just... Puis l'expérience sexuelle, en fait, c'est mieux parce que c'est une autre langue, du coup, je sais pas, j'ai pas envie d'en parler, j'ai pas envie. Mais on me force à en parler, so we always ask to talk about this because we're queer, so we have to know things about fucking sex. And I don't want, I just want, you know, I just want to do it. I don't want to be. I don't want to. Wieso kann es nicht einfach so ein Bereich sein, wo man einfach nicht redet? Einfach, wo man nicht redet. Das einfach so ohne Worte geht. Ja.
Instrumental Gender is the title of the next sound work, which fits perfectly in our broadcast. Produced by Tintin Patrone in the year 2020.
The piano is like a king on a throne, immobile. One must go to it, bow down, near the stool to it. It's like a mythological creature. A room with a piano becomes its own room. It's an instrument of royal courts. I don't want a piano. I mean, I have one, but it doesn't need to be mine. All the pianos of the world are that piano. To play mine alone would be limiting, would be restrictive.
The cello is one of the essential instruments of an orchestra. You might say that the violin and the cello are the foundations upon which all symphonic concerts are built. Am I wrong? The cello is certainly an instrument that will never betray you. Once it has chosen you, it remains faithful.
I thought I'd tour the world with this, but I'm always here. I'm sick of this ridiculous fart horn. It makes me feel useless. It should be eliminated. What is it good for? I give my all to shape a sound, and out comes another fart. I think it's the very symbol of obtuseness, of a stolid mentality, of those relationships in an orchestra that inhibit any sort of contact.
I'll explain the violin. For us, the violin is the most virile instrument in the orchestra. It's totally masculine. It's penetrating, phallic. It's not at all feminine. There's nothing languid about it. It's vibrant and always modern. In the conservatories, it's still the preferred instrument. The cello is chronically sad. The violin is the true diva of the orchestra. I was saying that the first violin is the star of the orchestra. It's the first violin who controls the situation and guides the orchestra, literally substituting the conductor. Whose hand does a conductor shake when the applause comes? The first violinist. I owe everything to the violin. It helped me take wing ahead of time. It helped me discover where dissonances lie.
I took up the flute in California, where it's played sweeter, less violently. The flute is a delicate instrument, the most similar to the human voice. Even if they say that about the cello and saxophone, and probably the drum. It's funny because choral groups say they sound like an instrument, but really only the flute has that human quality. What a mysterious sound. Supernatural. It even tames wild beasts. Didn't Apollo use the flute to awaken the dead? It's the instrument of magic spells, both lunar and solar. Why flutists are also batty. It's true, that's what they say. Maybe because they blow and all that wind goes to their heads, right? Everyone expects us to do something strange. Who knows why?
The trumpet, a truly fantastic instrument, engaging, not only for its miraculous possibilities. With the trumpet, you can venture into incredible music acrobatics, What's extraordinary is that it allows you to express what's inside you. Joy, sadness, even silence. The trumpet is a passport to a greater dimension. Who plays it understands. A dimension of fullness. Everything is more intense, more sublime. Ask any trumpet player. We're quite a few. We trumpets study harder than anyone. It's true, we spend hours making our lips supple before we begin playing. The margin of error allowed to other instruments isn't tolerated for the trumpet. A clinker on a trumpet is death.
I didn't choose a tuba, it chose me. I'm very sensitive and all art make me cry. And that's not all. At times I could die. Why? The world's evil and I miss my father. The fact that everybody refused it moved me. Poor tuba, like a stray dog, I fell like into it, sad and solitary. It's awkward like me. We had to get together, and we did. We did it well. It was destiny. We are true friends. When things are down, we go by the window, look up the moon, and play a little solo from Verdi.
People react and interpret sounds, each in their own way. It's a personal thing. In F sharp or B flat can make some people swoon and others vomit. That's the way the bow bounces. What a magnificent instrument the oboe is. It's the oldest of all invented by the Chinese. The most difficult, the most delicate, and most alone. We, oboists, are isolated, envied, even disliked. The orchestra has a reckon with the oboe. The oboe sets down the lows. The oboe established the diapason between the highest pitch and the lowest. It's owing to this privilege that the violin hates the oboe, and the oboe the violin. It's an instrument of great spirituality. He who plays it develops a sort of special power, an interior vision which permits him to perceive the color of sound. I play and see an aura of gold, luminous, the color of sunlight, like a spreading reflection.
Our last piece is an extract of a work by Johanna Bruckner, titled Atmospheric Escape, Fabulating Care. Its original length is 29 minutes and it's made in 2020.
Prostatic devices between immanence and transcendence, reality and illusion, reason and its absence, science and fiction, cannot occupy discrete positions in space, coming into being as we merge and align with or destroy each other while rippling against abiotic waves and the rippled ultraviolet field. As inhuman intimacies energies tailed by virtual detectors, accelerated by the convective electric field, exceeding escape due to pick up ion acceleration, as a more than body time of transition, to break down and build up and break down once more, to accept the cycle or the challenge or the promise of beginning again. We cover each other with soft sheets that keep the draft of vibrant love as grey and anthracite streaks of wisdom, as parasites of our body, black rhodolith trans girls shining bright, carry the weight of movements strapped over our shoulders, embodied experiences of how we survived terrorism, lived through dehumanization and planetary starvation. The emerging plasma that is frames in contact is not sex. But the way in a circle that seems cut is never broken, is capturing the patterns of ourselves. As molecular machines opening up any entity to its provisional vicissitudes, as shallow self-variations, that enable them to become consent to or sex nature their skin is always intact, their transactions me away from my body, this body you held, this body you said you loved, emptied, hollowed, dissolved in the wind, pulling the body back through itself in order to feel mending, to feel the growth of new margins. Our gaseous embodiments fold and cut through heat. Split my tongue. Tongue burns on contact. Sin of sex. But the way any circle that seems cut is never broken. We're sculpturing the patterns of our sex. As molecular machines open up ancient sun rotated faster than present because the solar wind has removed angular momentum. The increasingly brightening sun triggers gaseous erosions and mass fractionations, but ultraviolet emission depends on the charge exchange, the performativity of the sun's magnetic field. To deal with the increasing energy of sunlight that the planet is faced with, it responds through atmospheric escape and atmospheric deposition. In a process of ultraviolet decomposition, the gases absorb light. Through the energy of charged fellow particles, gases are carried up, by and through the atmosphere, while evaporating and decomposing into atoms to overcome gravity in a process called drag. This form of escape, the planetary wind, is analog to the solar storm, radically charged heat particles blown from the sun into erosive space. The atoms interact with the magnetized solar wind and are dragged into a tail while changing their atomic sex. Black gas exceeds its means as finely powdered carbon produced by burning natural gas, a fill material for nanotech-driven production on the planet. As the density of the expanding gas decreases, the particles continue to move outward as dust. In these atmospheres of transition, the sublimation is not uniform, and gas velocities are not constant, responsible for what is called multi-species coma. Volcaniclastic sand has a high carbonate content and contributes to the body's elastic substrate. Rhodolith grains give the bodies the form of corals debris floating and form fossil sediments and carbon banks. These materials are colliding in a process of foreign broadening or becoming foreign, after which they become fluid as circumplanetary water clouds, in transition to the collisionless regime, whose new bodies are distributed as frozen volatiles, organics and refractory materials released of white dust during sublimation. The remaining background atmospheres excite transaggregational rotational bonds which let biosignatures and abiotic species emerge. Multi-species coma. Through molecular sputtering, which is equal to diffraction processes, the body particles are shaken into self-assembling formats. Once diffracted, these bodies can re-enter the atmosphere of the Earth as multi-species coma, newly to take form, genome, sex. These bodies, which are expected to widen the habitable zone, develop traces for existence in more than human worlds, extend meanings of caring beyond expected forms of kinship, while restructure our environment worlds across the bifurcation of consciousness and ultimately transform effective perception of things by involvement in the mattering of planetary worlds, to restructure our relationship with the other entities we share this universe with, of becoming autopoietic systems. Our prosthetics mimics a seahorse's tail. Seahorses are aleatory beings using tails to grasp objects in their environment, while they camouflage to hide from predators. Our prosthetics is a network of fabric-covered cables and ball joints that lock the body's upper torso to a system of handrails, while tail sections are inflated and exhausted in sequences to create organic movement, floating as a weaponized seahorse. Elastic seahorse tail temporality rubbing against the past, displaying continuity between the past and ongoing injustice, and futurities to be mindful of our grammars, vocabularies, visions emerging from movements that are grappling with the ongoing apocalypse of particular bodies. We argue for an expanded time frame of the present, a polymorphic time that opens to the duration of the extracorporeal body postures of millions of years. Interstellar non-human performance tells us that a politics of care cannot unfold in an ubiquitous web of entanglement, when everything and everyone is entangled and universally serves one another. How can aleatory agencies of the present unfold when the excluded ones are not accounted for? Those relations for which the inclusiveness of planetary entanglement doesn't have signals, codes, and languages for.
Every journey has an end. I want to thank all participating artists for their great and inspiring artworks. Jessaray and Maya as the duo Homollectual, Charlotte Arnhold, Danny Banany, Tintin Patrone, and Johanna Bruckner. Many thanks to my lovely hinterconti colleagues and to Übel und Gefährlich. Hope to meet all you guys soon again. Bye bye und tschüss, yours, Stefan Mildenberger.